Hello everyone. Hi. Uh, so in today's live session, we will be talking about lists and loops, and yes, and we will be doing some live examples as well related to both. Okay. And apart from that, we also provide online training, help in technical assignments. We also do freelance projects based on Python, data science, machine learning, embedded system, etc. So if you have any such requirement related to these topics, then you can contact us through our website, which is www.jcbrolabs.org, or you can also mail us at info@jcbrolabs.org. So let's start. Let's see if anyone is connected to it. Okay, so it seems like no one is connected. So if few people join, so let me know by commenting below your name and your location from where you are watching. Okay, so let's start with the list. So first of all, we will do some theory about it. So let's so we will be talking about a list. So lists are like arrays, but basically a different kind of data structure. Okay, so array you may have heard about in C language. So in array you can create or store a similar kind of data type. While in the case of list, so lists are defined in Python as to hold a different kind of data type, where different kind of data, different kind of data types, different kind of objects. Everything can be created within a list. There's an interesting fact like in Python, there is no concept of array. Okay, so everything you define with the help of the list. Moreover, you can create the arrays with the help of third-party modules. For example, NumPy provides you the necessary functions through which you can create arrays. Okay, so coming to the list. So a list is a kind of collection of an object, and these objects could be of different uh, types, right? So let's say here's the list. This is the representation of the list. Okay. So let's say if I type 1, 5, 2, 7, 10, and 8. So this is the data within the list, and this is the index. So in Python, index number starts from the 0. Okay. So this is the index, right? So if I say index 1, so value at this index 1 is 5, at index 2, value at index 2 is 2, index 3, value at index 7. Now, so this is the different kind of structure which looks like of the list and the way it is arranged in memory. Now there are several things like how to define in Python. So we just have to type like a equals to 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4. Okay, you may get confused. So I want the same data. So 1, comma 5, comma 2, comma 7, comma 10, 8. Okay, so it will automatically create. Okay, so it starts indexing 0 and so on. And let's say if you want to access any element, so you just type a, or if you type this and press enter, so uh, obviously this is the index at which index you want it to know the information, so that this data will be displayed by default. Uh, it was a random, so 2 was coming at index 2 only. So, and similarly, if you want to update any specific locations, then you can simply write like, let's say a of 2 equals to 10. So you are putting this 10 at index 2. So this value will be updated Okay, so this is how we can do this kind of different operations. And similarly, if you want to we were having question. Okay, if anyone has question, they can type it. Okay, coming to the spider now. Okay, now we will type the same thing which we just have gone through. Okay, so remember we are using this spider ID which is provided along with this anaconda. So let's create a variable a of 1, let's say 10 comma 13 comma 18 comma 20 30 100. Okay. So variable a has been created. We go into variable and see. So this is the list. It has been. So by default, this list is created as a column. So if we wanted to access any element, so we'll simply type a of 2 and it will give us 6. 0, 1, 2. Similarly, let's say if we want minus 1, so it will give us the last index. Last index starts with the minus 1 and minus 2, minus 1, and so. Okay. Similarly, if you want to replace the value, let's say a of 2 equals to 50. So here it is. So a of 2 is this one. So 16 will be replaced by number 50. Okay. So it has. Okay. Clear. So there are several different operations which we can perform on list. For example, okay, prior to performing any operations, the list can be of any, right? If we talk about this variable a, so this list contains only integer kind of value. We can also define a different list which contain different values. Let's say 10, 30 integers. Then it also have JCBRO. It also have some name, and then it also has some floating point number. Okay, so you can create the list of any kind of data type. Okay? Where list has been. Where if you type b of 0, 1, 2, b of 2, it will give us this, right? So you can. It is not necessary. It can. The list can be created of one kind of data type only. Now coming to forward, now there are different accessing operation which can be performed over the list. For example, let's say we want to assign these values from the list to some other variable. Let's say from second location to second last location. Okay, so I will type, let's say c equals to a. So we want to go from 2 to 5. So you should remember the indexing goes from starting 1 to end minus 1. So if I mention 5 here, it will go up to 4. Okay, so the C is created with 50, 18, and 20. So this is the fifth location, and it will go up to 4. So you should be very clear about it. Similarly, there are also several tricks. If I type 2 to end, so in this case, if I don't provide the second end location, then it will take it to the last element. We have updated to the last element. So this is a kind of operation we can do. So we have also talked about like how you want, if you wanted to replace any element within the list. Similarly, let's say if you want to add any element at the end of the list, right? Then there is a simple command append. So if I type c dot append and then type the value which you want to append, let's say Sachin. Okay, So by appending this JCB arrow has been appended at the end of the list. Okay. Similarly, if you want to insert any number at any specific location, then that can also be done. Uh, that can also be done by simply writing dot insert. So in insert, you have to provide the location. For example, c dot insert, and I want to insert at first location. Okay, so this at first location. This is the first. I will type first, comma, and I want it to insert India here. Okay, if the spelling is wrong, say c dot insert 1 comma India. Okay, so India has been updated. So these are the different kind of operations which can be performed over the list. Similarly, we can also, there are several other functions which are also available in Python, one which can be used most often, for example, length. So this function will give you the length of the list. So if I type length C, it will give the length. Similarly, repetition, we can also find the minimum value, maximum value. So in order to get the minimum value, you just have to type minimum C. So it may throw an error because they are strings as well. So if you want to use this function, all the values should be reserved for floating point numbers like this. Okay, so let's say this the minimum value 9. Okay, apart from that, uh, we can also use index operation. So index operation is generally used to find any specific index of a number which you wanted to search. For example, I wanted to search index in a dot index. I wanted to search, right? So and then in this, let's try with that number which is not available. L is not in the list. I mean 1 is not in the list. So now try search with the number which is available in the index 20. So it will give us the it will return the index of 20. 0, 1, 2, right? Okay. Apart from that, now comes the thing like multiple dimensional arrays. There are several other operations which we can perform over the list. Due to time short, I leave it to you. You can also try. So let's for the multiple dimensional list. So in multiple dimension list, we can have list within the list, list within the list, within the list as well. So it's up to any number of the list which we can use, right? Okay, so let's say there's a variable a. So if I type it like a1 comma then 1 comma 2 comma 3 then 4 then 5 then 6 etc. So everything will remain will become a kind of a list within a list. There is a list, and if you wanted to this list, so this list is at location 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you type a of 1, you will get this. Now if you wanted to access this element within the list, so you have to write like a. Okay, let's take it up with a different color. You wanted to access this value, so you will write a of 1, and within 1, within this list, its index is like this, right? So you will write a of 1 of 1, and you will get this element. So let's try the same with the programming part. Okay, so let's create a list. Okay, so it will become a matrix kind of structure. So 5, 5, comma 8, 9, 10, 12, and I press enter. So if I type a of 1, that means I will get the entire list. If you double click on this variable, you are getting this kind of Now let's say I wanted to access 7 elements. It will be like a 7 is the first index, and then within that index we have first number, first index is 7. I want to access this 29. It will be like a of 2, 2, a of 2. It will be 20. So this is how you can either create matrices within the using list, or using list within the list as well. So this India is also in our earlier class. We also talked about this string, and we can access the individual element character of the string as well. So similarly, in this line as well, in this list as well, you can also access the individual element. So for example, C. So India becomes at the index number 1, and then I want to access this I. So I index is 0, 1, 2, 3. 1, 3. It is I. Okay. So this is how you can use this list. Okay. So we will stop here for the list now because in this class we have to discuss two topics: loops and the list. So that is for the list, and you can try at your end by doing some manipulation with the different kind of list and different kind of number combination, so that you can learn more about this. Okay, the next topic which we will be discussing today is the loops. Okay, so uh, uh, let's see if there is any question. Okay, let's continue with the loop. So loop are kind of the thing in which we want to iterate some statements again and again, right? So for example, we have these many of statements. These are the sum of the statements, and we want to iterate these statements again and again. Okay, so it is a kind of thing we want to operate the same particular operations again and again for uh, some fixed number of time, or till some condition is satisfied. So this can be done with the help of a loops, and in Python there are two loops are available to us. One is the for loop, and another one is the while loop. So the for loop can be think of like a counter. So that means it just keep on counting some numbers which are available within the list, or which are available to the user. So it just iterate. Okay, so for example, so you can think of like just hold on a minute. So you can think of this for loop like this. So here we have defined some counter, and it evaluates uh, conditions whether the counter is finished or not. If it is not finished, it executes statements and keep on increasing the counter. So this is how it keeps on working, this particular for loop. Okay. So the syntax of this for loop is very simple. So it is like for and iteration over on which we want to perform the iteration, and then any statement which we want to do. Okay. So let's try to write a program for that. Theory is very less for loops. So I will try to explain you with the help of the programming. So here we have created a new script file, and we will save it with at the same other location where we have stored all other values. So test and the let's see if there is any question or any comment. Okay, so let's define some values. Okay, so let's say I define a list with different numbers in it: 12, GCBRO, India. Okay, so now I create a loop. So for I in, so remember this in was the membership of it. So if we want to check whether it is a member of that particular list or not, we can use this in, and then I for I in A. So what will happen? And this I will take one element by element of this A will be assigned to I. Okay, and then depending on our operation, we can perform the operation on I. Let's say we simply print I. Okay, let's save it. So if I'm right, if I am right, then as soon as I run it, we will get mm, these elements will be printed. Okay, 10, 13, CCBRO, and 8. Okay, that is very easy. So you can create any list, and you want to iterate it over, you just simply use this for loop. Similarly, there is a function like range. So range 1 comma 100. So this particular range functions generate these many of values from 1 to 100 minus. If I press enter, you don't see those values, but you can access those values. For example, if I type a of 0, it will return 1. And let's say if I see the length of a, it is 99. So a of 99 will not exist because it will go to 0 to 98, right? So so we have to type a of 98 only. It will be the 99, right? Similarly, we can also use it in the for loop as well. So for I in range, I can type 0 to 10. So it will go from 0 to 9, and we have used this print function, so it will simply print the numbers. Okay, so I press run it, so it will go from 0 to 9. Okay, that's good. Okay, another function, another cool thing with the loops is we can use if and else statements within the loops, or we can use any kind of programming within the loops. The only thing will be, it will be keep on running within the loop. So let's take an example. Okay, let's take, we have B and it has some numbers: 12, 14, 41, 15, 17, then 18, then 19, and 20, right? Okay, now I wanted to know the even numbers within this even numbers which are available in this variable B, and then I wanted to display the index number of those variables as well. Okay, so let's say I in B, and then I type it like, because I have to check whether a number is a even number or not. So remember, in our some of earlier class we talked about ampersand operation. So if I type ampersand 2, it gives us the remainder. So if a remainder is 0, that indicates it is even number. If the remainder is non-zero, that indicates it's an odd number. Okay, so let's check it. So we will check with the if statement. So if I modulus 2, I, this is the modulus operator. So I generally got confused, ampersand the modulus operator. Just pardon me. Okay, equals to 0. That indicates it is an even number. So what we will do, we will display. Okay, we will print the number, and we will also print the index of it, right? So for in order to find the index, we have to type b dot index, right, bracket I. So let's see whether we got an error or will it run. Yes, let's run it. Yeah, it is 12, index 0, 18, index 4, 20, index 6. So it has printed for us the even numbers which are available within this list and their index numbers as well. Okay, so this is how you can use this for loop for different kind of operations. With this, so there could be a lot of examples in it, but we are focusing only some examples on it. So if you have any, if you people wanted to learn any more examples, then you can let me know by commenting below this video or by putting the comment in the chat box. Okay. Now let's see. We will talk about the while loops, because as we said, there are two kind of loops which are available within the Python. So this while loop is very much similar to the loops which are available to other programming languages. So this while loop keep running till this condition is true, right? And it will keep on executing all these statements till this condition remains true. As soon as this condition become false, this while loop terminates and come out of the structure. So it is obvious then, if we are checking the number of statements which are going to run depends on this condition, then this condition there must be some statements within this which should be changing the condition. Okay, so this condition should change within these statements of the while loop. Otherwise, what will happen? This entire while loop will become an infinite loop, and it will keep on running infinitely if we are not changing this condition within this while loop. Okay, sorry, I forgot to change the topic. Yeah. This happens. Yeah. Okay, so this was the while loop and the conditions. So all the statements which we have written within this while loop, those will run till this condition is true. Right? In order to avoid the situation of the infinite loop, this condition should become false, or this in some statement. Otherwise, if there is a situation that this condition never becomes true, in that case, this while loop will become an infinite loop. So in order to make sure this condition become false, there must be some statement within the statements which we have written within this while loop. There must be a statement which is changing the condition. Okay, so for example, if I simply write like while 1, so it is an infinite loop, because this loop is never going to end, because this is always true, right? So though there are certain applications for this kind of loops as well, but right now we won't be needing them. So let's go into the programming part and try to write the while loops as well. Okay, so yeah, okay, let's change it and let's type while I, and we print I. So we'll simply printing the value of I, and we initialize I equals to 1. Okay. So now if I run it, it will become an infinite loop, and you may see here, this is just printing 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 continuously, and you won't be able to stop it. So in order to stop, you just press Control and C command. So it is a keyboard interrupt, and then it will stop the continuation of this. So here we have to write a certain conditions, like for example, even if I write it like I is less than 100, even then it will be an infinite loop, because there is no such condition which is changing the status of this I. So the value of I will remain 1 throughout the process. Okay, so we have to write like something. So let's say I increment I by 1, so I equals to I plus 1. Save it and let's run it again. As soon as it stops, yeah, okay, it's done. Okay, let's say I want to print. Okay, let's take an example for this while loop. I think let's say we want to store all the numbers which are divisible by 4 into some another list. Okay, So let's say there's a list A. Okay, I'm taking this example. I have not tried it before, so if we got some error, then pardon me. Okay, so if I type it, see, yeah, we are not getting error. So we have created an empty list, and we will be storing only those numbers which are divisible by 4 into the C. Okay, so first of all, we have to make an arrangement so that we can came to know whether a number which is being uh, come up, which will come up during this iteration, is divisible by 4 or not. So what we'll do, we will type a condition if I modulus 4, right, is equals to 0, which will indicate the I current value of I is divisible by 4, right. So what we'll do, we will append it into the C. So remember our list append operation which we just learned, that was variable dot append. Append, automatically it will append the number at the end, right. So it will be like C dot append, and the number which we want to append is I. So that's it. And we also want to print that number as well, right. And here remember, this I is the outer side of this indent of the if. Why? Because we want to increment the I for all values, for all iterations of the while loop. If I put an indent, one more indent, then this I will become within this if, right. So in that case, this particular statement will run only if this condition is true, right. And as you guess, it will become a infinite. Let's it is not running anything. It has become an infinite loop because this I to I plus 1 is not happening, because I value is 1. So I modulus 4 is always 1. It is not equals to 0. So this condition will give us false. So these statements which are written in this if loop will never run, and that is why we are not getting anything. Let's cut it. So we want to run it with the while, so we have to put this one step back. Okay, so if it starts here and ends here. So this is the situation. This spider doesn't see the indent wise indication. Okay, so let's run it. Okay. So I think we have printed all the numbers 4, 8, and let's see variable C. So if we look here, yeah, variable C is being created, has been created here. So if we double click on C, there are all the values have been stored in the C as well, which are divisible by 4. So if you think, okay, 100 is also divisible by 4, but remember it is a less than sign. It will run up to 99. If I put this equal sign, then it will go up to 100. 100 will come up in the list as well. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now apart from that, there are certain other statements as well in the Python, or which are generally used with the loops. Those statements are break statement and continue statement. Okay, so let's say this break statement. So break statement is like, let's say we have written a for loop, okay, and these are the statements, and we want to run the continuation work of this for loop as soon as certain condition is true. Okay, so after that condition we can put the break command. So as soon as this break command executes, so the control comes out of the current or while loop. So it could be for loop or it could be while loop as well, right. So as soon as this break command is executed, it comes out of that particular loop. Okay, now another statement is the continue statement. So as its name suggests, continue means as soon as this continue statement is there, it will skip all further all instructions which are written after that, and it will continue to the next iteration of the for loop. I am telling you once again, in break, as soon as this break statement runs, executed, the current execution of the for loop stops, or it comes out of the for loop. Straightforward. In the continue, as soon as this continue statement is executed, the rest of the statements which are written after continue within that for loop only, those will not run, and it will come out, it will continue to the next iteration of the same, right? So this is the difference between this for loop and I mean the break and continue statement. We can also see here, for example, if I type here and within this number, if I type one more statement, if, okay, it has to be written here, if I is equals to 44, right, then I will break it. Okay, so let's see. So technically it should now go after 44, and 44 will also not be printed because print I command is after that, but 44 will be in variable C. So let's run it. Okay. Right, so just after 40, as I said, 44 will not be printed, but see, 44 is in the list. Okay. So as soon as I become 44, it continue with the break, and that particular loop stops and it comes out of the loop. Okay, so instead of this 44, let's make it continue. So what will happen? As soon as I will become 44, it will continue and it will jump to the next iteration, and it can become a infinite loop. Why? Well, as soon as I become 44, it will always be 0. 44 will be there, and all the statements, as I said, will not run. So this increment statement will also not run. Okay, so if this increment statement is not running, I value will remain 44 and it will stuck within this loop. So it is a kind of a bug right now. So generally you have to think about it. This continuation should not result into the bug. So let's try to run it. Yeah, it has become, because after 40 nothing is being printed, so it has become infinite loop. Again I have to press Ctrl C here. Now if you see 4, you will find the array size is very large. Opening this variable can be slow. Do you want to continue? Because it was an infinite loop, so the size is of this much. These many of elements have been stored. Sorry, extremely sorry, I didn't told you. I didn't change the scene. So I was talking about this continue statement, and this size is like this. This much of big size is there, so that is why this variable is not being able to show. So I was showing here continue statement. So let's run it. It become an infinite loop. I have to run it, because after that continue statement all these statements are not running. And if I make it a break, and if I run it again, we will not see the 44 in the display, but 44 has been stored within the C, and that can be visualized. Okay, spider. This, I think I have to get more clear with this. Okay. Okay. So this is the list variable. Okay. Okay, so I hope this is for a while loop and for loop as well. Now there is one more statement, and that is the last statement. We can also use this else statement with the loops as well. So this else can come up with the for loop or while loop as well. With both of them, we can use this else statement. And this else statement runs when this loop ends. Okay, so while loop ends. Okay, so if I run it now, you will find at the end of this while loop, this else statement should run, but it didn't run. Why? Let's see if we end up with some problem. So this 7 equals to false. This while loop should have run. Okay, okay. It is becoming break. We have to stop. Remove this. Okay. Now we have to run it. Okay. So when this condition become false, this while loop ends. This statement will run. So it is while loop. So as soon as this condition become false, this will run. Same case for loop. You can use this else statement with the for loop as well. Okay, so I hope that's it for today, and you have learned some more concepts about the Python, and I hope you have enjoyed this live session as well. So we will coming after some weeks again with some new topics on the Python. So till then, bye. And finally, we also provide online training, help in technical assignments. We also do freelance project based on data science, Python, machine learning, etc. If you have any such requirement, then you can contact us through our website, which is www.jcbrolabs.org, or you can also mail us at info@jcbrolabs.org. Okay, so that's it for this